inequalities. Vocabulary. Compound inequality. A compound inequality consists of two separate inequalities joined by and or. Okay, so in example 1, we need to write and graph compound inequalities. Translate the verbal phrases into an inequality. Then graph the inequality. All real numbers are greater than or equal to -2 and less than 2. So that is what makes it a compound inequality. So we're going to go down here. -2. We wanted it to be greater than or equal to -2. So x is the bigger number. So it's going to look like -2 is less than or equal to x, because x is bigger than -2 here. And then here we want x to be less than 2. So 2 is the bigger number. So it's going to go like that. If it says and, you can write it sandwiched together like this. And it's always signs going the same way. If it's not, then you can't write it like that. Okay? B. All real numbers that are less than or equal to 3 or greater than 6. So this time we have an or. So we want x to be less than or equal to 3. So we want 3 to be bigger than x. So the alligator eats the bigger number. So it's x is less than or equal to 3, or x is greater than 6. Okay, these two go the opposite way, so we have to put an or in between, and we have to write x twice. If it's and, they go the same way and we can sandwich it all together. But if it says or, we have to write or and write x twice, and the signs will go the opposite direction. Okay, and then the last one, all real numbers that are greater than -8 and less than or equal to -3. So this one is an and, so we're going to sandwich it. All of our numbers need to be bigger than -8. So x is bigger than -8 and less than or equal to, our signs go in the same direction, -3. Now we can graph all of these. So -2 has a less than or equal to, so we're going to put a closed circle on -2. 2 just has a less than sign, so we're going to put an open circle. Don't let the blanks here confuse you. Now, if x is sandwiched in between, then we shade in between. For this one, x is less than or equal to 3, so we're going to put a closed circle on 3. And x is greater than 6, so we're going to put an open circle on 6. These are not sandwiched together, so we don't shade in between, but we shade outside. So going this way, and then going this way. And the last one, -8 is less than x, so open circle there. X is less than or equal to -3, so closed circle there. And our x is sandwiched here, so we shade in between. Now, example 2. Solve 15 is less than or equal to 3x plus 3 is less than 24. Graph your solution. Separate the compound inequality into two inequalities and then solve each inequality separately. So we're going to rewrite them with an and. If there's an and, it's sandwiched. If it's sandwiched, it's and. Those two go hand in hand. So we're going to ignore the 24 over here for a second and write it as 15 is less than or equal to 3x minus 3. And then we're going to ignore this 15 over here and say 3x minus 3 is less than 24. So we have an and in the middle. We ignore each side separately and put an and in the middle. So now we're going to add 3 to each expression on both sides. So add a 3, so we get 18 is less than or equal to 3x. Add a 3, we get 3x is less than 27. Then we divide each expression by 3 to get the x by itself. And we get 6 is less than or equal to x. And x is less than 9. So the compound inequality, can be written as, so our signs are going the same way, and we have and in the middle, so we can sandwich it. So 6 is less than or equal to x is less than 9. Okay, we're just putting these two back together into one. So the solutions are all real numbers greater than or equal to 6 and less than 9. So I'm going to put a closed circle because it's or equal to on 6 and an open circle on 9, and it's sandwiched, so I shade in between. Example 3. Solve a compound inequality with and again. So solve 15 is less than negative 7x plus 1 is less than 50. Graph your solution. So they write the original inequality and then they leave it as one big inequality and subtract 1 from each expression. So minus 1, minus 1, minus 1. Whatever we do to one part, we have to do to each part. So we get 14 is less than negative 7, x is less than 49. And then we divide each expression by negative 7 and reverse the inequality symbol. Or flip the sign. So this turns backwards, this one also turns backwards, and we get negative 2 and negative 7. So the solutions are all real numbers greater than negative 7 and less than negative 2. So just to make this a little bit less confusing, I'm going to rewrite this the other way because negative 7 is the smallest number. And since I moved the negative 7 over here, I have to flip my sign again and put x in the middle, flip my sign, and put negative 2. So this goes from smallest to biggest. So then I can see a little bit easier that the solutions are all real numbers greater than negative 7 and less than negative 2. So neither of these have an or equal to, so I'm going to put an open circle on both, and it's a sandwiched inequality, so I'm going to shade in between. If it's easier for you to break them up like this, do that. If it's easier for you to keep it together like this, do that. Whichever one is easy for you, both of these get you the same answer on every problem. Okay, last example. Solve a compound inequality with OR. So we have an OR in between this time. 5x plus 6 is less than or equal to negative 9, or 2x minus 8 is greater than 12. So 5x plus 6 is less than or equal to negative 9, or 2x minus 8 is greater than 12. We rewrote the original inequality. So now we are going to subtract 6 here, and then on this one we have to add 8. We're just pretending these are equations and solving normally. So this cancels. We get 5x is less than or equal to negative 15. And 2x, these cancel, is greater than 20. So x is less than or equal to, we have to divide by 5. And we get negative 3. We divided by a positive number, so our sign stays the same. And here we divide by 2. Again, we divided by a positive, so our sign stays the same. And we get 10. So the solutions are all real numbers less than or equal to negative 3 or greater than 10. So less than or equal to negative 3 means I put a closed circle on negative 3. And greater than 10 means I put an open circle on 10. And I'm going to shade out because it's not a sandwiched inequality. So that is the graph of our solution. And now go ahead and do the checkpoints. Pause the video if you need to.